Haas is back.
In the speech that happened last night. There is a number of things that happened in this speech, the number of things that it represented to me. Just he said something that I didn't think he was going to announce that he was running. Like that was just absolutely crazy. I can't imagine that he was going to do that. And he did. There's a lot I want to talk about with this. I've got news to back up my 4 points. And I'll give those to you up front. That way if you don't like what I have to say early up, you'd be like, screw this dude. Totally okay. My 4 points, and I think they're key. I think they're germane. It's not a matter of putting hopium into you, but about trying to understand what happened. Now, the first point requires us to ask a question. Is Trump a good guy? Just to put it black and white. Is Trump a good guy? Is he here to help? Is he here to do the best that he can? Or did he make a deal with the Rothschilds or something because of whatever, and so he's going to pretend to do all this stuff just for whatever, just protect his family or whatever? I'm just throwing out crazy. I personally think he's a good guy, just to save you guys from the difficulty. We're going to talk about that. But that's point one. Kind of got to come down to the conclusion of, is he working for us or against us? Second big point in my mind. Trump said a number of things, but oddly, him and even the speech of Marjorie Taylor Greene beforehand, what they didn't say actually is more telling to me. So there's something strange about that. Now again, not good or bad, not necessarily, but I think it's telling. That would have been mean. I love her too much for that. So we're going to start off with something that TG Realtor said. He says, I'm trying to convince myself tonight was for optics purposes, for Trump to create more separation from what's coming down the pike. There was no passion behind his words tonight. There was nothing there, and I completely agree. His speech was very devoid of that energy. And I think that's one of the key things that wasn't there or wasn't being said. Why was this sort of a subdued announcement? Now, this guy's got a great point. I've got another slide or two that also, I think, speaks to that bigger purpose of the quality of Trump, whether or not he's a good guy. So the guy was asking, realtor guy was asking a really good question. This individual, Ethio, says, it's fatalism. He knows this is the end game, like our founders felt signing their names. No turning back now for him. Constant threats from all directions. We never know the full extent, but close your eyes and step into his shoes for a moment. He feels the burden of the American people on his shoulders. This is why he needs God. This is why we need God. This is why our founding fathers needed God. Gather your family together. Pray that our Lord gives at real Donald Trump strength and wisdom. All of us, for that matter. Now, Wyatt shared with us, this guy could retire and do whatever he wants, and it would be great. Instead, he's almost 80 and doing this because he might be the one person left that can. Literally. Think about that for a second. He might be the one person left that can. For all of you right now that are like, no, Dan, but, dude, tell me one person. One person. And I'm sure DeSantis is the first one on your mind, maybe. Dude doesn't have the power. 10% at best of the people really are about him. They like him when he's getting along with Trump a lot more than him without Trump. So who else you got? Cruz? He's pulling like a 3%. Guy couldn't do crap. Continuing, one man shouldn't have to bear the weight of the future of America. That's why we're here. Gripe and moan sometimes, but seeing Trump announce his last stand after all the BS, just to try to do it again, is amazing. We are witnessing a living American legend, and we need to buckle up. We need to buck up and buckle up. And I agree. I agree. He is stepping out. He's stepping out into the light. He is stepping out into the line of fire. And here we are bitching about it and griping about it. And again, I'm not trying to put any besmirching marks on anybody. Right? I mean, I'm looking in the mirror right now. I was very pissed this morning. I've had to come a long way. The workout helped, by the way. Got some of that energy out. But, oh, man, that poor dude Ron that I was talking to at the gym, and then anybody that was in earshot of my multiple F-bombs. Multiple F-bombs. Oh, God. I was raining F-bombs like, I don't know, like the tsunami that hit my girlfriend's split. Not tsunami, whatever shit, a typhoon. Another T word. Julian's Rum says, Trump has put up with far more BS than any of us ever have. If anyone has an excuse to quit, it's him. But he's not. Trump has every reason to quit, folks. Every reason. He does this for love of country, saving the kids. So I don't think he's gotten any benefits from doing this favor. In fact, it's been a nightmare for him. So I don't for 1 second entertain, that's me, you guys can choose your own choice. But for 1 second, I don't entertain the idea that Trump is doing this for nefarious reasons. I absolutely believe with my whole heart that this dude's doing something he doesn't have to do, and he's actually making a difference. Sometimes you must walk through the darkness before you see the light. I even played that song 93 Million Miles by Jason Mrazmi. They talk about how the darkness is a necessary part. It is. It's through the darkness that we see the light. You know, it's that the light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, it's either a train or it's actually the end of the tunnel. The light has, well, so many components to it that are relevant now. There is a plan in place. I think most of us agree with that. Do we agree with how it's playing out? No. Most of us are all couch quarterbacking, right? We think we got this all figured out. We got all the facts sitting right here in my hands. I got the whole world in my hands. Of course I know what's going on. Why are you not doing what I think you should do, Donald Trump? But the reality is I don't have crap in my hands. I don't know anything. The very little I do know is minimal. I mean, if you think about how big our house of cards is built on stuff that we don't even know for sure. Now, Elon Musk talks about how he's rehired some people after he's fired them. I saw one thing try to post this as these two individuals were the two guys that lied about being fired from Twitter, and so that Musk is trolling people. But that's not what this story says. This story actually calls this dudes Ligma and Johnson. Apparently they're the dream team. Elon Musk tweets with the picture of them welcoming back Ligma and Johnson. Important to admit when I'm wrong, and firing them was truly one of my biggest mistakes. Interesting. I don't know. Hiring some people back. And this is kind of funny, actually. I have to share this because this is kind of my type of humor. I got to ask, though, isn't the mistake standing between Ligma and Johnson? It's stuck between a rock and a soft place. And Elon Musk says, I'm the taint. I think that's funny. He is the taint. He's in between those two little pieces of merchandise. No man's land, if you will. Google privacy lawsuit is there's a settlement with 40 states. This headline's kind of silly, but whatever the case is, Google has settled a privacy lawsuit with a coalition of 40 state attorneys general. Today, I guess, they agreed to pay $391.5 million, which is kind of a drop in the bucket for them, for misleading location history settings that the company was running from 2014 to 2020. Google's location history settings have gotten it into a lot of trouble with several regulatory bodies. The action began after a 2018 Associated Press article pointed out that the location history checkbox didn't control all Google location history across your entire account, and that many location tracking features lived under a second checkbox called Web and App Activity. Consumers might turn off the location history checkbox thinking it stopped all Google location tracking, but it was actually only for a single Google Map feature. Google lost a case in Australia over the setting in 2021 and recently settled a separate lawsuit with Arizona for $85 million. A few other states still have pending lawsuits. So this is costing Google a lot of money. Again, we're trying to stop the deep state from continuing to do what they've been doing. And that is what we're doing right now. Is it like that? Is it 100%? No. And it's not going to be, folks. And for those of you that think it should be, well, the military should come in and just snap their fingers and just make it. It's not gonna happen that way. It's just not. But evidenced by what we're seeing, evidenced by what Trump did and didn't say last night. No, it's not how it's. This is going to play out at, for those of you that remember records, it's going to be playing out at 33 RPMs, baby. Not 45, not 78 or whatever the third one was. 72, 78, whatever. Cover up? I think so. Department of Justice is misleading the public about the Paul Pelosi attack. Body cam footage reveals. Now, we've heard stories about the body cam footage. We also heard that the MSNBC reporter that let that story out or did that story has now lost his job. But it is very interesting why we're being told different pieces of information. Why does the Department of Justice, aka the FBI, aka the administration, why are they misleading everybody? Now, Nancy Pelosi's no longer going to be Speaker of the House, is she? Which also means she's no longer going to be third in line. Bye-bye, Nancy. That's been possibly put into someone else's hands. Now we'll see if it's Kevin McCarthy or if it's someone else. I don't think it'll be Trump, but someone else, hopefully, instead of Kevin. Begins. It's talking about this story. MasterCard, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, and others launch a 12-week experimental digital dollar pilot with the New York Fed. I truly wonder if this has to do with the deep state and laundering, because they've lost some other avenues. So now all of a sudden we've got this new experimental thing they're doing. I don't know. Needless to say, color me not trustworthy right now, or not trusting, I should say. I mean, I don't know whether I'm trustworthy is up to you guys. But certainly, I am not trusting. I don't trust them at all. I don't trust any of these nonsense. Stock market not bad today. It was expected to get kind of hammered because of some interesting missile news. We're going to talk about that in a second. The missile that ended up attacking in Poland that they immediately blamed Russia for. And I think that's also a big part of the story and how we've stopped them. That being said, telling you we've got another, $77 billion, whatever the hell I just said that I can't remember already. That's going to get laundered somehow. That ties directly into this. But how they do it, well, people will be watching for sure. They will get caught for sure. And things are not going well for the deep state at this point in time. Now, the Associated Press broke almost immediately, and I bring this up specifically to point out how wrong they are, how wrong they were, how they quickly jumped to the wrong conclusion. And the wrong conclusions is actually dangerous. Yet the Associated Press was happy to do that. They put out later, on the 15th, 10:59 a.m., in the morning, whatever the hell. Breaking, a senior U.S. intelligence official says Russian missiles crossed into NATO member Poland, killing 2 people. A Polish government spokesman did not immediately confirm the information, but said leaders were meeting on a crisis situation. So immediately, it's a Russian missile. Now, AP wouldn't possibly know that. They couldn't possibly know that because they're just a newscast. They don't have radar. They don't have all the technology that you would need to figure out trajectory, to figure out speed, velocity, all these sorts of things. But they instantly jump to that. Dmytro Kuleba. Russia now promotes a conspiracy theory that it was allegedly a missile of Ukrainian air defense that fell on the Polish theory, which is not true. No one should buy Russia's propaganda or amplify its message. This lesson should have been long learnt since the downing of MH17. You were completely wrong, Dmytro. Completely wrong. Yet you're trying to spin it the other way, aren't you? NATO members should guard part of Ukrainian airspace, is what the Polish general immediately started saying. We need to start patrolling and protecting part of the Ukrainian airspace, is what he's saying, which means possibly shooting down Russian planes as a NATO country because we're just supposed to help protect Ukraine from what they can't protect themselves from, apparently. So you got the news that came out. You've got some douchehole, whoever the hell Dmitry is. You've got the Polish generals, who are obviously deep state, trying to make this and escalate this further. And then you get the U.S. that says, hey, that missile that struck Poland, that was probably not from Russia. Even us said, it's probably not from Russia. Sorry. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, of course, was quick to allege the explosions were caused by a Russian missile terror, decreed the incident as a very significant escalation. U.S. officials are now briefing the Associated Press that the deadly explosions in Poland blamed on Moscow by Zelensky were probably caused by a missile fired by Ukrainian forces. Breitbart reports, however, 3 U.S. officials who spoke on conditions of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss the matter publicly have now briefed the Associated Press that preliminary investigations suggest it was actually Ukraine that struck Poland, likely as a result of an anti-aircraft missile or missiles fired at an incoming Russian bombardment going off course. Speaking of reporters, or two reporters at the G20 summit in Indonesia, the U.S. President Joe Biden appeared to echo these sentiments when asked about the missiles fired by Russia, saying there is preliminary information that contests that. It is unlikely in the lines of the trajectory that it was fired from Russia, but we'll see, he said, reserving final judgment until investigations are complete. So strange. It's like he knew the truth. But it certainly wasn't what the deep state was trying to tell us. U.S. official now says Poland likely struck by Ukrainian missiles. Biden says unlikely, Russia responsible. AP, U.S. officials admit missile that struck Poland was most likely fired by Ukraine, not Russia. Most likely. They said it definitely wasn't Russia. But again, all of a sudden everybody had to change and start the new narrative because they were wrong. They were trying to escalate. They were trying to cause a war. That's the people that we can't trust anymore, folks. Biden says the missile that hit Poland unlikely to have been fired by Russia. I think we've kicked the hell out of that dead horse, but I kind of wanted to make sure everybody says that, or hears it, or knows that everybody had to fall on that sword once they were wrong. Poland president says missile that killed two, likely unfortunate accident by Ukrainian air defense. See, everybody was quick to turn it into something it wasn't. And then the truth came out somehow. Almost like we maybe have more control than we realize. Again, it's the things that I can tangibly touch that I'm going to say that's probably true. The military might very well be keeping us in check. We just heard that they opened up conversations between the United States and Russia because they didn't want to make sure we go into a nuclear war. And then that's like a day or two before this incident. It's just interesting. Global oil inventories have hit their lowest level since 2004. What they're continuing to do with Russia is only going to hurt this further. Again, the deep state is continuing their attempts to destroy humanity any way they can, to make it as painful for us as possible, and to possibly have as many people die from cold and all sorts of different things, starvation, as possible. Why U.S. and Israel are preventing aid to one of the poorest countries in the Middle East. It's pretty sad. Despite their recent signing a historic maritime border between Tel Aviv and Beirut, tensions continue to remain high, with both Israel and the United States attempting to force Lebanon into compliance with their regional agenda. Right? We want to give Lebanon a chance to be able to make some money. But instead, the deep state's like, no, 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 no. You must do as we say. You must do as we say. You cannot have your own possible income to support yourself. This is what the deep state does. They destroy countries, they make them as poor as possible, and then you're just desperate. It's what they're trying to do to us. Greatest country ever, trying to take us down, and doing a decent job at it, let's be honest.